And so what we're going to do now is just a different form of questions. If the candidates would like to take a sip of water, because I need to sip right now, you can do that. If it's the middle of the summer, almost 80 degrees on a Saturday night, you know, on election coming up in New Hampshire. So as we look at these next series of questions, these candidates will have a minute and a half to answer them. All the candidates will get the same question. So what I'll do is I'll ask one question, move down to the next candidate, and let the last candidate also finish those questions. The way that we'll do this is we'll go back into an order. To start off this order for questioning, Mr. Brown will start the answer. The question is very simple. Energy prices are at all-time high. Food prices continue to rise. Families are struggling. We are still over 5 million jobs short. What would you propose to restore the economy, Mr. Brown?
Well, of course it is. We have the highest corporate tax rate in the industrialized world. We have a health care plan that's crushing businesses, making it more and more challenging to actually start a business. You read today in the Union Leader about business taxes in our state are out of control, the highest in the region. Then you throw in the unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats circumventing the laws of Congress, as was referenced earlier, making more and more challenges for our job creators to actually create jobs. So there is a wet blanket. We need to have the government step back. We need to allow our job creators to do their jobs. The best way to step back and step out is to make sure we do that. We have right now a senator who votes 99% of the time with the president's failed policy. She was the deciding voter of Obamacare. She voted against every ability for you to keep your doctors, your hospitals, your nurses, etc. She is against the Keystone Pipeline. It's one of the reasons that our energy prices are going up. They've doubled since she's been in office. She's proposing a national energy tax. Has voted for a cap and trade scheme that is going to make rates this winter go up dramatically. We have gridlock. We have foreign policy issues that are affecting us. They all trickle down to the fact that people are so nervous right now, especially the people who are hiring and growing and trying to create jobs and starve for the largest business owners. They're just nervous because of Obamacare and the tentacles of that, the out-of-control regulations that are affecting them, the EPA taking away our rights with water. I could go on and on and on. We need to take back our rights, folks. Take back our state, take back our country.
Once again, 10 questions Mr. Rubin, where we repeated energy prices are at an all-time high. Food prices continue to rise. Families are struggling, and we are still over 5 million jobs short. What would you propose to restore our economy?
Very, very true. We have real wages for the average American family are down 6 to 8% since Obama took over this economy. It is not working for America. I've got a 6-point plan to turn around the economy. Point number one, fair, flatter, simpler tax code. It's unfair that Apple pays almost no taxes and GM pays the full rate. We've got to fix the corporate tax code so it's lower than Europe. We've got to repatriate the $2 trillion+ that are stuck offshore and bring it back to the private sector. Fix the tax code. Number two, we've got to fix regulations in this country. We were the third most economically free country in the world as recently as the year 2000. We're now number 17 behind Canada and Great Britain. Things like Dodd-Frank that both James and Senator Brown voted for are stifling small business in our state. I have met small business people who can't get loans as I could when I was a young man. My wife and I started businesses, and we would get loans from small banks in our state. You can't do it anymore. Number three, we need lower energy costs. We're looking at $100 a barrel oil. We need to get back to energy that is inexpensive for America again. You can see my plan there. Point number four, we need lower health care costs. I've got a detailed plan to do that on my website, emergency.com. Number five, we need to seal the borders. We need the jobs to go to American citizens. American citizens get the jobs, and those who are legally entitled to be here, these open borders are depressing wages in America. And number six, we've got to defend the currency of the United States of America. As I mentioned, we are end-stage fiscal insanity. We're not going to save our currency until we get control of spending in Washington. It's going to take some stiff spine.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Next question, Mr. Smith. I repeat, energy prices are at an all-time high. Food prices continue to rise. Families are struggling. We are still over 5 million jobs short. What would you propose to restore our economy?
Well, to warm up, let's get President Obama out of office. Let's get Dean Shaheen out and move Harry Reid to the job. And then we start cutting corporate taxes, cutting corporate regulations, not passing legislation such as Dodd-Frank, which Mr. Brown did vote for. These are the things that stop and stifle the economic growth in this country. These companies are dying to produce. They can produce more jobs. We got to get out of the way. As Ronald Reagan says, the worst thing you can possibly have happen to you is somebody knocking on the door and saying, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. Get out of the way. Let this country produce the jobs it can do. You can eliminate capital gains, you can eliminate the corporate tax, you can cut personal income taxes, you can reduce or pull together the depreciation scale so that people can take their full depreciation in 1 to 5 years as opposed to 30 years, give them the capital to work with, and begin to do the things that they do best. Energy, can you imagine the energy that would be created if we would deregulate and get the people spurred on to do the jobs? Look, bring back the $3 or $4 trillion in offshore money. Obama said, I'm going to hunt them down. I'm going to find them. I'm not going to find them. I'll give them amnesty tax. I need you to bring the money back and create more jobs. That's what we need to do.
The second question of 3 questions. Once again, we'll start with Mr. Rubin. Mr. Rubin, the question is, our U.S. foreign policy has been in free fall. As a member of Congress, what would you do to redirect our foreign policy?
We need a consistent, clear foreign policy. As recently as a year ago, Senator Dean voted to bomb Syria, to initiate another Middle East bombing war. As recently as a year ago, this country was arming and training ISIS. Our on-the-ground intelligence, military intelligence, was so poor that it's possible, and I think we did not know we were doing this. Now people in Washington, in both parties, want to bomb, and we are bombing ISIS. Our foreign and military policy is haphazard beyond belief. So what I propose we do, and I'm going to shift into the problem of military foreign policy, we have failed in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I'm not looking for a third Iraq war. I'm going to be clear about this. What we need to do is we need a stronger national defense. We're weak in cyber warfare. We're weak on industrial espionage. China's ahead of us on this. We're weak on-the-ground intelligence. What we need to do is not over there nation building, but our young men and women coming back in boxes and without legs and with brain injuries and giving us no improvement in national security. Let these people who've been fighting this out for the last 1,000 years continue fighting. However, if our better on-the-ground intelligence discloses to us that there are direct threats against America, we use surgical techniques to take them out, neutralize them. We do not need to hold territory. We do not need to maintain the boundaries defined in 1916 in Syria and Iraq. We've got to be thoughtful about this stuff. It's going to take a thoughtful, determined person to overcome, and there are emotional reactions. When Jim Foley was killed, there's an emotional reaction. We've got to be careful in these circumstances that we don't harm America by making rash decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Same question to Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, our U.S. foreign policy has been in free fall. As a member of Congress, what would you do to redirect our foreign policy?
Well, with all due respect, it's been in free fall because we really don't have it. I don't think anybody understands what the foreign policy of the president is. I agree with most of what you have said, that these foreign wars that have been in the Middle East, this stuff has been going on since the death of Muhammad in 632 AD. Century after century after century of tribal, cultural, religious warfare. We cannot win there by tying the hands behind the back of our military people and then sending them there. I mean, it goes on and on and on. We just had a movie about it. Lone Survivor. You saw it. That's what's going on. How would you like your son or your loved one in a situation like they had? It's outrageous. It's wrong. We need to have a policy. It's very clear. Colin Powell said it a million times. State what the mission is, and complete it, and state your exit strategy, and leave. That's what we need to do. That's not what we're doing. And we're going to be sucked into another war. I can see it coming. It's the same thing. I served in Vietnam. I came home. I know what it was like coming home, and the politicians didn't support the war. This is not right. If we're going to put people in harm's way and have the guts to have a declaration of war put before the Congress and vote for it so that the people fighting it have the support of the people who put on it. Our U.S. foreign policy has been in free fall. As a member of Congress, what would you do to redirect our foreign policy? First of all, Bob, I want to thank you for your patriotism in your service and anyone else who served. It's something that is the fabric of our society. And when you talk about a direct threat, what can be more direct than somebody being murdered who lived right down the street? It's very direct. We have a situation where we have a well-funded, well-armed terrorism group who wants to put a flag in the White House. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I consider that a direct threat. And we have to make sure that we work with our Arabic partners and our allies to use strikes to push back, to destroy their command and control, upset their supply lines, arm the Kurds, allow them to do their jobs, and the Iraqis to push back so we do not have them exporting terrorism around the region of the world. Afghanistan, Pakistan, by the way, has nuclear weapons. Why were we in Afghanistan? To make sure that they would not once again reestablish power and export terrorism around the region of the world, potentially move on Pakistan. Absolutely. We have a problem with our being spread too thin and wanting to go and be the world's leader. But we have a problem. The president drew a line in the sand, remember? And he did nothing. So as a result, our allies don't trust us, our foes don't fear or respect us. Putin's walking all over us. We have problems in Afghanistan. Iraqi blew it there. You know, we have so many issues. Don't forget China, what's percolating there, what's happening in Africa. Senator Sheen is a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, has endorsed those failed policies 99% of the time, and it's dangerous.
Thank you, Mr. President. This will be the last question for this segment. Last question, we'll start with Mr. Smith. This will be repeated for the other two candidates as well. Mr. Smith, in light of the Obamacare failures, what would you propose to repair a health care insurance system?
Well, as I said, a good start would be let us opt out and those who support it live with it. But we have to repeal it outright, flat out, repeal it. And if we don't do that, we're going to have a health care system that looks like what happened in the VA. Do people understand really how serious this is? This is a very slippery slope. Yeah, the United States Senators stand on the floor, having a president, saying you can keep your doctor if you want to. You know what? That's not America. Okay, that is not America. What's next? How many children you can have? Don't laugh. It could happen. It's happened in other countries. This is wrong. Let the private sector provide the insurance, let the free market and the competition provide it. They're willing to do it, sell it across state lines, protect pre-existing conditions, do all the things that we know the free market can do, and let the market do it. It's funny, isn't it, that everybody that has health problems, including some of these Arab leaders, come here when they need something wrong. And this is the nation, by the way, that does all the new technology, brings up all the new technology, all the new pharmaceuticals. Who's going to do that now? Now that we're just a simple provider, who's going to do it now? That's the problem. That's the sad part about this. We need to stop it. And I'm going to tell you something. Talking about being linked to the thing that happened in Massachusetts is not it. It's a free market decision. It's not. I don't want the state making the decision. I don't want the federal government making the decision. I want the doctor and the patient and the family to make the decision, and that's it. Nobody else.
What would you propose to repair a health care insurance system?
Well, 2009, President Obama and Senator Sheen were fortunate saying, hey, there's an arm around you can keep your dog for your hospital and get a check over $20,000. Well, they misled us. As you know what's happening. I was sent down there to stop it. They used parliamentary maneuvers to get it ran through. And when there was an opportunity to so-called fix it, apparently they're going to fix it all of a sudden. She voted against every single attempt to do that. So did every other Democrat. We have 18 new taxes, $750 billion cuts from our seniors. Medicare, by the way. The business mandate is coming in after the election. I would vote to repeal it. We can replace it with something that works for us, that respects our rights and freedoms, that addresses the issues people care about. Catastrophic care and coverages, of course. Existing conditions of covering a kid up to a certain age, of course we can do that. Covering people who need more help than others. My mom was on welfare for a period of time. My sister will tell you we needed that safety net, but not a lifelong entitlement. We can do it better with competition. Whatever we want to do, guess what, folks? We have some very smart people on this stage, in this audience, who work for us. We can do it better. I agree with Bob 100%. The VA, you look at Obamacare and the VA, Obamacare is the VA in a couple of years. And what do you have? We have a senator who was the deciding vote. And what I find is I'm visiting businesses and individuals, and they say, oh, the deductibles have gone up, the care coverages have gone down, is they want to hold those responsible and accountable. They want to get them on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rubin, this is up to you. I will repeat it in light of Obamacare failure. What would you propose to repair our health care insurance system?
Again, to get rid of Obamacare, which is a federalization of the sixth of our economy, and it's going to result in rationing, and it's going to result in deteriorating care. It's going to result in, and already is resulting in cutbacks for people who use Medicare. What we need to do is to get 60 votes to get this through the U.S. Senate, even if there are 51 or more Republicans in the U.S. Senate, is going to require a set of solutions that are really thoughtful and persuasive, and some number of Democrats are going to have to be brought on board. So it's got to make sense. So I'm proposing a basket of solutions that increase freedom, that allow people to control their own insurance, make their own choices, no mandates, no state takeover, no federal takeover. Things like, let's allow the federal government to negotiate the cost of pharmaceuticals. Our Congress filibusters because there are 1,200 pharmaceutical lobbyists. In 2012, they spent $200 million lobbying Congress so that we pay the highest prices for pharmaceuticals in the world. We need to allow insurance to be sold across state lines. We need to allow insurance to be sold in types and varieties that are customized and suited. We need to have insurance that attracts people so that they want to buy it voluntarily. I'm proposing we allow set up a legal structure to allow long-term health insurance. I'm proposing we beef up community health clinics. We have 10 of them in New Hampshire now. They can produce primary care, including dental care, including care for people who do not have any money for half the cost of the hospital-based system. We've proven that it works in New Hampshire. So there are things, and the list goes on my website, there are things that we can do that make sense.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, we get started slightly late, so I am going to ask one more randomly picked question for each one of the candidates before closing remarks. To start this series will be Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, what is your view and position on Iran and its nuclear goals and its association with terrorist organizations?
How long do we have? Listen, Iran is the sponsor of terrorism. I don't trust them. The fact that the President and Secretary Kerry are negotiating with and did not shut down the nuclear reactors, it's wrong. Israel, our greatest ally in that region, they want to wipe them up the face of the earth. I've been to Israel. To see what's happening where every country surrounding them wants to destroy them, it's very powerful. To go to a nursery in Sderot where rockets can line this entire outside structure of missiles that have been fired from Hamas, which is sponsored by, obviously, terrorist groups and terrorist countries like Iran. I would not have negotiated. I have voted, and I'm sure Bob has done the same thing many, many times to not only put on sanctions, draconian sanctions on Iran. They want to be part of the world leadership and be a world partner. Then they have to start to act like it. They have to shut down their nuclear weapon production, their upgrading of uranium and the like. We have to stop that. And the only way we're going to do it is with firmness. And I would suggest that Senator Shaheen is not as firm as I was. We've lost some good allies with Senator Lieberman and Senator Kirk have been battling with health issues. We need to go back and really draw that line in the sand once and for all and send a very powerful message to not only Iran, but every other terrorist country in the world, North Korea and the like, that the United States is back in business.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. The candidates have a question. The next go to Mr. Rubin. Mr. Rubin, you're called on to vote on defense issues as part of your job. What experience would you draw on for your decision?
So, we cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. We should use one of the tools that are still short of war, coordinated, stiff economic sanctions. And President Obama removed the sanctions that were working. Iran, once those sanctions were removed, they continued developing the implosion technology, they continued developing delivery, they continued developing enrichment of nuclear weapons. So,
Mr. Rubin, once again, the question was, where are you going to draw your experience from for defense issues? Would you answer that as well?
I will draw my experience from it. Why is that possible? I find that to thoughtfully address complex problems requires listening to people from a wide variety of viewpoints and weighing them against the facts on the ground to be determined. I can't tell you that one source of information will be the right source of information for any particular problem or any particular policy choice that I may make. So, control boundaries and have American boots on the ground. We were warned, I've got to return to Iraq. We were warned by the Pentagon that bombing Iraq and Syria will require at least 75,000 troops on the ground if we're going to.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin.
How do you talk about this stuff?
This last question is for Mr. Smith, and then we'll go on to closing remarks. I'll explain the order of the closing remarks to Mr. Smith. This last randomly picked question is Mr. Smith. What do you consider the biggest threat to our military at this time?
I think the rules of engagement, I believe, number one. Number two, the fact that they're not being supported with the appropriate funding and appropriate weapons that they need. They're certainly not being supported when they come home. But look, the issue of rules of engagement, I had the opportunity, along with several other people, to visit a group of soldiers who were flying from Fort Hood. They stopped at the fees to refuel. They were going off to Afghanistan. I had a chance to talk to a lot of them, one-on-one, no cameras, no microphones. And I asked them, what is your number one concern? That's exactly what they said. Rules of engagement. We go in there, we can't shoot what we're shot at. Sometimes we're surrounded, and we're put in situations that are just untenable. We can't do our job. And the other thing they said is we're not trained nation builders. Don't send us in there. We're not policemen. We're military personnel. We're trained, frankly, to kill and to win. That's what they're trained to do. And they're not allowed to do what they're trained to do. It's an outrage. And it's a major scandal. It's bigger than the VA scandal. Because these folks come home wounded, horribly wounded, and then they have to live a very stressful, difficult life with families, and have to deal with all this, and they're not even given the weapons and the proper instruction to help them do their job. It's a scandal. It's a major scandal. I've never seen it. I've been in Vietnam. I've seen a lot of presidents. I've never seen it.
Mr. Smith. We're getting ready to go to our closing remarks. I'm going to announce that you heard of synchronized swimming. I want to talk to you about synchronized climbing. Let's give a big round of applause for our time speakers. And they have to find out the music.
GOP TV.